John Stocker, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, not at all, mate. It's been you're someone who I've been aware of for a while. Obviously, you've done some fairly mad stuff recently, and I just think, God, other than those that have asked, can you get this guy on? Do you know him? Can you find him? And we found him. Here's John Stocker, and I just think the people who listen to Banner Runners, we started this podcast. It's all about ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Now, I'm not calling you ordinary, but at some point in time, you may have been ordinary. And now, in my view, even as someone who's done a fair bit, you are bloody accomplished, and you've just gone, forgive the pun, that extra mile and done something very, very, very impressive to anyone in ultra running. You've been all over the internet. You've been on BBC News, and we all know mainstream media doesn't exactly pick up a lot about ultra running. So you must have done something right. How are you feeling since the big Suffolk Backyard Ultra?
It's kind of it's hit really. It's blown me away a little bit. I found it very hard to deal with all the attention from you guys and the podcast and everything, because I still count myself, and I do and really count myself as still an ordinary person. I'm still out there doing the runs at 5:30 in the morning. I can run down the high street. People wouldn't recognize me. I'm still that ordinary runner that started many years ago with 5Ks, 10Ks and marathons. And I'm no different to yourself, sir, sitting there. All that happened was on that one day, I just went that little bit further than anyone else. But apart from that, I've been doing this quite a few years. And we all do it because we do it for the love of running. And that's still why I do it. It isn't to beat times or championships or records. We do it because we enjoy running. And that's why I still count myself as an ordinary person. And I think this is great being on here with you today.
You fit the brief then, mate, but I think typically modest as well, standard ultra runner who is just, I suppose, to people who didn't know you or haven't watched you, like your family and other runners alongside you, haven't seen you evolve, but and you've been there every day, obviously, at the 5:30 runs, but there's a lot of stuff in between. It's not just that one day as well. You know, it is that getting up, that dedication, the fitting in when times are hard. But just so everyone who hasn't heard of John Stocker yet, so obviously it's about 4 weeks ago, you set what has been a world record in the backyard ultra format, and better coming from you than me. What does that mean? What is it? How did it happen?
Okay, so backyard is perfectly 4.16 mile loop every hour on the hour. And that loop continues until there is literally only one person standing. I think in Suffolk Backyard, we started with 129 and it whittled all the way down to hour 37 loops on. And then it went down to just two, myself and Matthew Blackburn. And then we continued 44 more loops head to head, which is another record. It's the longest head to head in a backyard. And on the 80th loop, Matthew decided to call it a day. And I continued and finished on the 81st loop to set not only European, but also a new world record as well.
And just, carrying the flag for Great Britain there, both you and Matt on the day. I mean, by the end, it was one of these phenomenal things where we all love the expression of dot watching. We all love spending our time doing it when we're not there doing what we love. And I think even those that didn't know it had gone on, it was so many shares, so many like comments, engagement, Laz Lake and stuff throwing his tuppence worth in, because I think he devised the format, if I'm not wrong.
He's the original he's the original man that came up with the idea when he was back in college. It's all to do with not being, and I love the idea of this, because you don't have to be the fastest, you don't have to be the best, you don't have to be the person that kicks it out there the quickest. It's all about who wants it the most and who can keep going the longest. So you don't have to be that person that's always coming in first in every race. This is all about who wants to be the most stubborn, and I've got plenty of that in me, but who wants to just stay out there and keep, and you don't have to do a loop quick. My loops are coming in 47, 48 minutes around that time every single loop. I wasn't getting quick. I had 12, 13 minutes each loop spare to sit down, have something to eat, and then go again. And it's just having that, just like in the training, it's having that consistency. So the training is no different. Having that consistency of getting up out of that seat, doing another loop, and it is just another loop.
But 337 miles, I mean, basically continuously. I'm actually, one of the things I was most impressed by, and it got really kind of, well, from my perspective, sad. I mean, well, it was brilliant as well, but I was looking at the charts of yours and Matt's, like time in, time out, because these were getting posted all over the place. It's like, these guys have finished in this time. Oh, he wanted to go in quick that lap, lap 65, because he wanted an extra 5 minutes for a micro sleep. This, even I mean, I've done a few 100-milers. The people that listen to this, I think very few people have gone there. I mean, did you train? I know you did this, and I think you won it the year before as well.
I did, but I won it with 41 laps.
Oh, lazy.
I know, but not in October. So this was back in October last year, and it rained for the whole event.
Oh yeah.
So different circumstances, and 41 loops. Remembering with the backyard race that you can only do one more loop than second place. So as soon as second drops, you're only allowed that one more lap. So you never know how much more first could have gone and done.
And that's the phenomenal thing for you guys, just to have gone over half of that event. I know there are 123 people, but these guys are all, like, I looked at the names, like in the list,
there's some good names in it.
There's some good top names, people that run 250 miles and all sorts. We know they can do it. There's something beyond the physical, as you're sort of alluding to. There's something psychological, and probably goes a bit beyond being stubborn, that you two guys had. And I don't know, what is it for you personally that drove you to keep going? You obviously wanted to win, but there's got to be something more fundamental in you that makes you, I don't know, a specialist, if I can call you that, at this kind of thing.
I don't know if it's been a specialist at this kind of thing. I don't know how deep we want to get on this, but for me, I've mentioned it.
The bottom.
No, that's the problem. I've mentioned it on a few that, we've had a bit of, everyone's had a rough few years with this COVID situation, the pandemic and everything. We lost our family business, and we spent 10 years making this family business. It was a health club, and it got closed, and it never recovered, and we lost that. For me, I spent 7 days a week working at this health club. And I missed a lot of time with my kids, missed a lot of time to make that place work. And I feel like I kind of failed them slightly. In my head, that's how I perceive it. I failed my kids, and I wasn't there for certain things, and I should have been as a dad, and I wasn't. And there's many other things that add to that picture. And in my head, I feel like I've not achieved what I should have done. And I've messed up in many things. To put one foot in front of the other and just keep moving forward and keep going, that to me is one of the easiest things I can do. So to not fail and to win that race and bring something home to hopefully make my kids proud of me, that is why I'm not going to be stopping at a backyard race. And I've got to come out of that and not feel like I've failed not just my kids, my family and everyone, but to me, in my own head, I feel like I've failed quite a lot at life, and at the moment, to find a backyard ultra where I've only got to keep running, and I can go through quite a lot of pain. So to do that and to keep moving forward, then I can go to quite dark places and still move forwards, and that's all I've got to do.
There you go. I feel the emotion in what you just said, and I've got to tell you, it's making the hairs on my neck stand up listening to you, kind of with, I don't know, a weird mixture of understanding, excitement for, like, what's inside of all of us, really. When you've been through anything like that, we
never want to be that person that fails. And I've been there too many times, I feel, not just in races but in life itself, and I haven't really been the best that I could have been, not just maybe as a husband, but as a dad as well. And maybe this is me trying to make up for that a little bit, and just show them what I can achieve and just push it to the next boundary.
Well, I bet they're proud.
I hope so.
Their dad,
I do hope so.
Husband on the news, on all these podcasts, or everything, John. I mean, it's phenomenal what you've done. I think just for runners, kids, the sport. you may not have been aware, but I suppose you're quickly becoming aware that's reaching more people than your family, and making people like me think that we could go and do this. We can go and play in the backyard too, or wherever. And those boundaries.
And that's the beauty about the backyard. You never know, because it doesn't, you don't need to be that superb athlete that's out there that's clocking off these miles in 6-minute miles. God, I can't even do 6-minute mile runs. But you know what? The backyard allows everyone and anyone to give it a go. And you never know what's inside that person that's standing next to you on that start line. If they've got that inner push to push them that little bit further. For me, yes, it's my kids. But it's not just my kids. It's, you know, my kids have got friends, and you just see them, that you just want them to understand that they don't have to be the best of the best to go out and do it. You just want them to go out and give it a go, enjoy it, and give it a go, and just see what happens. And you might enjoy it, you might hate it, but at least get out there and see how you go. You don't have to be number one. You know, we have ultra running is such a community that you can be at the front of the pack, you can be at the pack of the pack. It doesn't matter. Everyone loves each other in this ultra community, and we're all in it together. And you know what? You might get someone that covers that miles in 9-10 hours, but you get someone that covers miles in 20. Who's worked the hardest? Well, I'm sorry to say, but this guy at the back that still kept going, kept pushing, and made that finish line. And to me, that's what makes ultra running so great, is you don't have to be that number one all the time, because you can be out there and just and inspire people by just pushing forward. And that's what I want with the kids, is trying to inspire other kids to get out and give it a go.
That's just brilliant. And as I say, it's reaching more people, which is hard to do with what we do. It's such an amazing but such a tight knit thing. It doesn't yet have that mainstream appeal, but this is kind of the beginning. And the more stuff we do, these conversations getting out there, things like mental health and stuff like that being more in the spotlight, as you say, the last 18 months being so tough for so many people. The story is heartwarming, crushing, inspiring all at the same time. That shows people, and not just people like me who are into this, you know, what can be done. And it doesn't have to be running. It can be persevering with life, like you say, go into dark places, very dark places, and keep going through them.
Those problems at the moment, I understand that. And you know, it's just trying to find that perseverance to push forward, to get up in the morning and to go out and to do those runs. And even to get up in the morning and just go to work sometimes, you know, is a hard thing to do at the moment. And just to know that, you know, just pushing that forward that little bit further, and remembering when we've got those dark times, that light will break. You know, in ultra running, we all wait for that dawn chorus and that light to come through those trees, and we're like, we're there, we're at the next day, we can push through this next day. Maybe it's just not the ultra running community, it's us and all. But if we can use this as a platform to push forward, why not?
It's a good say. I do have to, just for my own interests, not that, well, maybe we'll be competing next year, but I signed up. You reinvigorated my desire to do one of these backyards, and I'll be in the backyard with you next year. I'm assuming you're back to defend your title. I'm in Suffolk.
Come on.
So
coming back again to do it again.
Oh damn. Part of the bristling hairs was the fear of actually facing down somebody like you, but that is how we go, right? And I just
we can do some laps together.
Stop it. I was planning on having a 2-minute break. I've got to ask John, for anyone that wants to do this or any like really long distance stuff, the sleeping, because it's 3 days, right? You've talked about going through the dark night. You and Matt went through 3 dark nights and 3 mornings. You must have got some sleep. How do you do it? Like physically, how? No, none.
Didn't sleep. So we went, after doing it in October, we had the idea of buying some lay down camp beds. And we thought by doing those, I could get to the tent. We've all seen the pictures of Courtney Dauwalter in the tent, fast asleep. She does these amazing 1 or 2 minute amazing power naps. I thought I could do that. So we got the beds, went there, did the first bit, got to the first night, first bit of darkness, right, we laid down, quick sleep, felt sick as a dog, couldn't do it again. I literally laid there, couldn't go to sleep, felt sick, everything was buzzing in the body, couldn't do it. So that was it, we scrapped the sleep. And I didn't sleep for 3 days and 3 nights.
Wow. Okay. Well, this is good. This means it's possible. I know humans can do that. People in like the SAS and stuff have to do this. But this is the point. This is a running thing. You are enduring all the time. bloody hell. I mean, I don't know. I'm sort of blown away by the answer. I kind of expected something about micro sleeps or some super strategy. No,
couldn't do it. Couldn't put my head
it.
down. Couldn't go to sleep. It was just, one. It was two. It was quite warm. The temperature never dropped below 10 at night, so it was quite warm anyway. And do you know what? By the time you get in, if you're not eating, you're probably sorting your feet out, or you probably having something to drink. By the time you've done that, you've only got about maybe 7 minutes, and then all of a sudden you hear this whistle going off. And by the way, after 3 days of hearing that whistle, I don't ever want to hear a whistle again. But you have the whistle at 3 minutes to go, and at 2 minutes to go, 1 minute to go. And you kind of like, when you start that first night, you're out there 3 minutes to go. And then on the second night, you're kind of like, I'll wait until 2 minutes to go. And then on the last day, it was like 1 minute whistle to go, and we're kind of like getting to the line. But you never, no, I couldn't get to sleep. I just couldn't sleep.
That other thing humans need, eating. Like, I saw you in a picture looking like some poster guy out of like a holiday brochure for like Great British Summer, having a Calippo, of course, ultra runners. Did you have some real food as well, or like caffeine?
Yeah, so
what keeps you going?
Yeah, I don't do gels. Can't do gels.
Good man. Me neither.
Turns my stomach.
Food,
can't do it. The only thing I used was the Tailwind cola flavor with the extra caffeine. Now that came out only at night. Okay. So that allowed me to then push through the night. So I was having that going around with me. I carried a bottle of that with me, and I sip on that all the way through the night. So I left the caffeine off in the day. I put the caffeine in at nighttime only. Food wise, I was very good. My crew were great. They cooked me chili con carne on rice. They cooked me pancakes. We tried cornflakes early morning, thinking to reset the mind, reset the body. You're having breakfast. That didn't work great, but so we went back to pancakes. Little tins of beans, the small ones, just heat them up.
Oh yeah,
just a bowl of baked beans. A bowl of baked beans, made some buttery bread. Pringles, good high salt calorific packet of crisps. You know, normal food, what you'd eat at home, take it to the race. Because if you change it, then it ain't going to work. So whatever you eat at home, take it with you, eat it there. The year before, I was trying to take too many S caps for the salts, and actually I got ill because I was taking too much salt. So this year, I think we took 1 S cap in the whole of the journey, and the rest of the time was
fruit crisps and normal food.
Normal food,
fruit, stuff,
the watermelon, the bananas, the apples, the grapes, and then people started bringing Calippos and ice creams. It was like a holiday from a holiday. It was great, and all I had to do was run 4 miles.
Yeah, just 4 miles, 88 times, was it?
81.
81, sorry, yeah. Next time, 88.
Next time.
That it's just that's music to my ears. I mean, you hear all sorts of nutty stuff going on. I've got to say, I've never got on with like the powdery Tailwind stuff, but real food, like you're doing a mix, and like it clearly works. So don't give away all your secrets, but
it's okay.
I think the real secret is kind of what you got inside, and as you said, it's what drives you, and it's, as you say, it's an equalizer. This kind of running, if you forgive the kind of analogy, puts you and say a Jim Walmsley or a Scott Jurek, you know, in the same backyard. You know, it doesn't matter, one of them might be faster than you can beat them because you can go longer, and that gives someone like me hope that I can play with John Stocker or Matt Blackburn next time.
Of course,
you know,
you never know until you're out there in that backyard. For me, before I go there, I have tick boxes. So we're saying about me and how I feel, but to allow me to go through the night, I have tick boxes in my head. So before I leave home, I have to make sure that I've done everything anyone needs. So yeah, it can be as simple as a visit to the toy shop, or going to the cinema, or going out for a meal, or as simple as tidying a bedroom or something like that. Because at night, if you haven't done those small little things and you haven't ticked off those jobs in your head, they become massive. And they will play on your mind. And if your mind is elsewhere, it won't allow you to continue, and that'll be the end of your race. Everything has to be ticked. Yeah,
I mean that's really like bringing home in a bad way, because I've got so much IKEA flat pack to do before my next ultra. I'm very concerned about that weighing on my mind as I'm running on a canal. But speaking of that, like just winding it back, John. I mean, just as I say, ordinary people go on to do extraordinary things. What it's all about. When did you feel like you became a runner?
Ooh.
How did that happen? Because people have weird and wonderful backstories. I mean, what's yours before you became?
Yeah, mine was so I'm I've been in the leisure industry all my life. When I left school, I worked in the leisure industry. I worked my way up from cleaning toilets and cleaning showers, doing dog's body jobs, to working. I always wanted to work in the gym. I was always a skinny lad, and I always wanted to use those weights and get it. And anyway, it didn't work out, and I'm still a skinny lad. And for me, the first running one was I was given a client to run a 10K, our local Oxford Town and Gown 10K. And I couldn't run a mile for toffee. I couldn't do, and I wasn't doing any cardio at all.
When was that, sorry?
That was back maybe in 1990s, something like back there. And I couldn't run for toffee. I'd left school about 18, 19, and I couldn't even run a mile. And from there, having that client and having to train to be with that client allowed me to then get fitter. And then clients kind of like, have you done a marathon? No. Oh, okay, maybe I need to do one of those. So we went to do London Marathon, and you opt in for the ballot thinking you're never going to get in. Yeah, got in the first time. So
jammy.
Had to go and do a marathon, did a marathon with a great friend, and that kind of looped it onto marathons where we were doing one, maybe two a year. Then it got silly to doing 3 or 4 or 5 in a year. And then you figure out that actually, when you talk about marathons, you think that's the biggest distance anyone's ever run. And then someone mentions ultras, and you're like, what's an ultra? And it's anything above 26.2. It's like, oh, okay. So then we started finding ultras. My first ultra, I think, was back in 2014. And then in 2015, I did my first 250 milers. And on the same year, I went and did my first 100 miler as well, just to see what it was about. And then the following year,
escalating quickly, isn't it?
The following year, I decided to slam in all the hundreds and all the 50s on the same year.
We did the same Centurion race, and it's weird, right? This small world. I can remember, if it's not really creepy to say this, seeing you in a sports hall in Farnham at about 5:30 a.m. In 2016, before we started the North Downs 100. I mean,
there you go.
Latterly finished about 10 hours in front of me. But hey, both there, both finished.
But we were both there at the same event.
It's that, and that was your Centurion Grand Slam, which I suppose is a bit of a hallmark for certainly all the people I know, and something I want to achieve one day. That's a bit of a benchmark, as is, I suppose, doing your first 100, as you mentioned. But it kind of escalated quickly, right? That one you did in 2014. Sorry, I've seen your rap sheet. Was a 50K in the New Forest. Yep. And from there, did you get the bug? Like, what dragged you through this? Was it community? Was it just beating yourself?
I think it's a bit of everything. I think it's the community, because you kind of like find that the ultra community, you know, in a marathon, they're all there, they're pushing across these roads, and they want to go faster and quicker and beat the times. In an ultra community, if you are halfway across that field and someone's at the gate, they will hold that gate for you to get to that gate and come through. And that's what the ultra community is all about. They're in it, everyone together. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're the winner or everyone's in it together. And that's what I liked about the ultra community. It wasn't all about let's go faster. It's about being in that community. And for me, I'd never stick at the front. I'd never be at the front of these 100. I couldn't get there. These guys are a lot faster than me. So for me, it was all about, well, how far can I push myself? How far can I push myself until I break myself? Came close to that on my first ever DNF in 2000, I think it was 17 on the Monarch's Way, where I had my first ever DNF at 423 miles.
Out of 650, is it, for the Monarch's
650.
Way? Did all right.
I dropped to 423. I know, awful. But I had big blisters, and I tried to do a mile, and it took me over an hour to do a mile in the end. And I couldn't walk on my feet. I was on crutches then for a good 2 weeks. I had leg infection, and I had foot rot, and I had blisters, and they'd kind of like gone really bad. So the next day I had to go back, and I did it again, and I smashed it, and I beat the course record and came first. But it wasn't about it was about completing that distance and making sure that I made that distance. And I got to the finish of that one, and I don't know even now if that was the end of what I could do.
See, again, it's different gravy to 100 miles, even the backyard thing. That's a totally different beast. It's 650 odd miles. And again, I think through the beauty of social media and just being acquainted with yourself, I saw, or I spectated on, or whatever it is, your DNF and then you going back. And
Yeah.
I was, even though we probably never had a conversation, totally aware of your journey in a very peripheral way, and just thinking, yeah, you know, go back and avenge it, you know, go and put something right.
It was another one of those. It was another one of those. And I know I shouldn't talk like this, and it's not great, but it was another one of those. I've failed at this. I've got to now go and put this right, and that's what made me then re-enter and go back straight away the next year, and I had to.
And do you think that gives you extra fire? I'm not saying people have to fail to succeed, or fail's totally the wrong word. We both know this, but
yeah, for me, that's something that drives me. I've got a lot et up in me that I've got to put right, and I guess time out on the trails, you have a lot of time to think it through in your head and get that into the right box and tick it off. Yeah, and those dark nights that you've got to become friends with it, because you're going to spend a long time out there, and if you haven't got those tick boxes, it's going to eat you up inside, and you'll be out that race. So yeah, we keep moving forward, don't we?
Yeah, you certainly do. And I'm starting to get it personally, and just again, like the chance to, this is what the community gives us, a chance to converse with, just pass by and see, I don't know, the humility of people at the front matches those at the back in ultra, unlike any other distance or sport.
Yeah,
I think
very much so.
Makes it's a sport you do on your own, but it's a team sport, if that doesn't sound too cliche.
You're all in it together, so it doesn't matter.
Same journey. Yeah.
As soon as someone puts that foot on that start line, they've got the credited to the first person to the last person. You put your foot on that start line, you're a winner no matter what. It doesn't matter where you come or what happens. You've had the courage to put your foot on that start line and to be out there and put your body through something that we're not naturally meant to do, go that far or travel that long. But you know what? You've had the courage and the brave and get out there and do it. Hats off to anyone that does that.
And that's, you know, you're in terms of the people I know, certainly you're at kind of the forefront of finding that new distance and where endurance can go. And that's what is so exciting. I think the backyard ultra, come back to that, is probably the purest way of finding out how far can people go when they're competing against the assists, in this case, like Matt, or themselves, or a mix of both. And it's mad, because I think the record you broke had only been set in October. I mean, you did smash it. Yeah, that's not too fanboyish to say. You guys smashed it, both of you. Whoever won was going to take the record and the world record. But Carl Saab, you know, he's a phenomenal runner as well, and you smashed it by several miles. And you know, you're now going to, just to highlight on it, and I don't know when it is, but the Big Dogs Backyard Ultra, I think that's what it's called. Is that next year in America?
This year.
When is that?
In October this year. So we've got a slight worry that if the flight opens up to get to America, I know I had a gentleman that was very kind. He listened to a podcast earlier where I mentioned about the flights, and he's come to me and said, well, we've got people flying into America. If you could fly to Barbados for 2 weeks, stay there, and then you can fly and stay. I'm like, unfortunately, I have 3 kids and I have a family, and I've got to try and work as well, because as we said, I like to agree that I am an ordinary person. We've still got bills to pay. We've got some big debts to pay off from the company that collapsed, and that kind of like, and that's the only reason I'd like to point this out, that I wouldn't put a GoFundMe page out there unless I had to, because that's just not the sort of person I am. And I'm really appreciative to everyone, Cherie, and everyone that's put money into that GoFundMe page. Is helped me get to America and get me on that start line, and I hope I don't let anyone down from that. But normally I've never asked to do a GoFundMe page to get me to a race, because I don't think that I should do. We've just had a bit of hard time at the moment, and hopefully, you know, we'll go there and we'll prove that we can bring that back home again.
No, mate, just the emotion again, it's getting me. Just the link we'll share around. You know, I think this is one of those cases where, whether you asked or not, the altruism of the ultra community is going to get you to the start. John Stocky, you will go to the backyard.
And that's kind of like the beauty of this whole sport and the ultra community, is everyone, you know, no matter if it's me or someone else, everyone looks after each other, and you know, hopefully everyone's interested to see how far, if we have the right team in the right backyard at the right time, and it has to be with the right conditions and everything, how much further we can push this. I know everyone's Everyone's asking if we can push it to 100 loops, which would be another 19 hours. Yeah, I think we could. I think we could quite easily make that 100, as long as there's the right people in that race to keep that pushing forward. And it does. It takes more than one to make it because of the rules of the backyard race. It needs a number 2 or even a number 3 to keep that moving forward. And if they all come together at the same backyard, I think it'll be phenomenal. I hope it is this big dogs one. I hope there's the right people with the right want to push it to that 100 just to prove what we can do. That'd be, 4 days, 4 days of non-stop running. That'd be cool.
Yeah. It's exciting to hear about. I'm kind of already looking forward to book that weekend off doing any of my own runs to watch it
just
or
a weekend.
take time out. I don't know, whenever it is, the day off work, whatever.
It'll be Saturday, 4 days. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and it'll go on to the Wednesday as well if we can make the 100.
Everyone book that Wednesday off work. Some special stuff's going to happen. But I love that you're up for it. That is, having gone through what you went through, and I suppose something I think, not having done anything like you have, and again, not putting myself down, but I think the pain fades quickly from, say, doing 100 miles, even doing quite a hard ultra like 50 miler. The pain goes quickly. All the good bits, they stay with you, right? Whether or not that's coming out the dark places. Yeah. Do you?
Yeah, very much. I mean, so if we rewind from the backyard ultra, for 4 weeks before that, I was on the Thames Path 100 Centurion running with my wife on her first 100. And due to injury, she got to 60 miles, which is phenomenal, and that was absolutely brilliant. But running with my wife, it was a slightly different stride pattern for me, and I got a little bit too much impact going through my left knee, and I ended up having patellar tendonitis. So I had to have that kind of like sorted and strapped and everything. The weekend before the backyard race, I took part in the Grand Union Canal.
Yeah, it's 145 miles, little taper run, right?
Taper run, that's the one. And I turned up there with my knee taped. We took the tape off for the run. Actually, going back into my own stride, it took a little while, but it behaved. And like you said, the pain goes. But then because over lockdown, I hadn't done a lot of high mileage, long extended races. My quads went into cramp. I wasn't able to run very well. My legs went into cramp. I had heat stroke. I had hypothermia through the evening. We got to 107 miles and we couldn't run. We death marched it all the way in. So from 107 all the way into 145, we walked.
But you still came in the top 10, didn't you?
I came 6th.
I've seen that. Wow, I've seen and that much death marching. But I mean, just doing that. I mean, as someone, you have got some pretty tasty 100-miler times, John, if I may say. I think you've done sort of 14, 15-ish hours at times. You've podiumed at Centurion events, which again, that's familiar to me. So that's why I'm talking about. That's really impressive. What is more impressive to someone like me, who has spent a lot of my time running at the back of the pack, is a guy like you, relatively quick. You can gut it out. That is the different special sauce, I think, that not all runners or ultra runners even have. The guts, or whatever's inside to keep going.
I started that event with the idea of I wasn't going to go mad at the event. There was no way I was going to keep up with Alex in front, because he was like a bullet. He just smashed it. Alex Spirity, he was amazing his time. But for me, I was just going to go and enjoy it and get round. I didn't know where I wanted to come. But for me, even if I couldn't run, I knew I could walk. And I knew that I couldn't do a DNF. I had to finish. My crew spoke to me and they were like, if you want to walk, we will walk it. And it's like, I have no question. We are walking this. And bless them, we walked that all the way in, all the way through the night and through the day. And we arrived in London and we kept it going. We were about 13-minute mile pace on our walking. And we trotted along quite nicely at that. And it was fantastic. But there was no question of doubt that I had to finish that race again.
And then a week later, you obviously...
I went to backyard.
Not just went to, right, as discussed previously, blimey. Yeah. And this is brilliant, because it's like that comeback, that short time. I literally had patellar tendonitis myself. I'm still wearing the strap. I don't know if it's a head or a body thing, since over Christmas. And I was in, so just not to compare, but I was in some of the darkest places I have ever been, because of running, because of all sorts of stuff, and have since, you know, come out of that. And I think just hearing it from yourself, and then to go on and just do this boundary breaking effort, that's just got to give people hope.
It's you've got to work. Okay, injuries are serious. Some injuries are really serious, but it comes down to what you want to achieve and what you want to push through and where your pain levels want to go. For me, I have quite a high level pain threshold. I'm quite happy to push forward if I know it's not going to damage me for good and it pulls me out of the running. Then I'm quite happy to carry on pushing through and running. It can only get to a certain level. Your brain can only deal with one level of pain, as I've got taught. So if you have pain coming from somewhere else, you might forget about the first one anyway.
Yeah.
But for me, that week after the Grand Union Canal, I think we rested on the Monday, and then on the Tuesday and the Wednesday we went out walking instead because I couldn't run. And then on the Thursday we went out for a run, and then the Friday we went to Suffolk for the backyard race. And then after the backyard, we came home on the Wednesday. I got home at 4:20 Wednesday morning. We had Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday off. I think we went walking Saturday, and then
deserved,
my first 5 miler on Sunday.
I mean, phenomenal. I just can't. Barely anyone will be able to relate, but I think everyone's at a different level, and that kind of pattern certainly rings true. It takes us all a while, I think, to work out how you bounce back from that stuff, but.
And it relates all the way back down the line from, okay, what we did in backyard to everyone doing their first marathon to their first half marathon, 5K, 10K. Everyone's and we're all in the same boat. It doesn't matter the distance that you do. Everyone's at that same level where they've got to then re-achieve and they push out and they come out again, and where they start training. We're all at the same level. It doesn't matter the distance. Everyone's at that same goalpost.
It is a great equalizer because it allows, and thanks so much, someone like me to talk to someone like you, and that's not to put me down, that's to lift you up, sir. I mean, it's been phenomenally insightful. I can't wait to get this out there. And I've just got to ask as a sort of final question, like, what, other than going to the backyard, what's next for John Stocker?
Yeah, so I quite like watching and being with people when they achieve their goals. And a good friend of mine, Bruce, is aiming for his first 100 miler. And that's over in Wales, and it's the Dragon Slayer. And there's not one place I want to be but by his side. So I entered as well, and I'm going to run the whole 100 miles with him and cross that line and get that buckle with him on that first 100 miles for him. And then the following weekend, I'm up in the Lakeland 50 because it's a run my wife has wanted to do for the last few years. And we finally got a space in it, and I'm going to be running next to my wife for 50 miles and achieving that one with her. I'm happy running on my own, but I love sharing the experience with others and being out there and being with other runners and listening to their story as well, and being a part of it, and not forgetting that, you know, we don't have to all be out there at the front. There's a mass thing happening behind us, and enjoying that experience with everyone else as well.
Wow. So a good friend, a brilliant husband, an amazing dad, and one hell of a humble, amazing ultra runner, John Stocker. Thanks so much for giving us the time.
And thank you for letting me come on the show. Thank you for letting me come on your show and spend some time with you, because, you know, and I'm going to have to say it because we had a little chat before we went on air, and my hat is dipped to you, sir, for everything you've achieved, where you've come from and where you are now, with everything you've battled with, and you haven't given up. You've taken that next step and you push on, and every time you achieve more and more, and your running is going from phenomenal to phenomenal. And it's great for me to sit back and watch you, because, as I said before we came on air, you inspire people like me to push further. So I think actually it's thank you for letting me come on your show, because hats dipped to you. You keep pushing and don't give up what you're doing, because you inspire me and so many other people as well. So keep pushing, and I know your running is getting phenomenal. So don't ever give up on that. I'm
going to carry that with me all the way along the canal. I'm going to accept it graciously, and I'm not going to cry.
So can I ask very quickly, you know, my next, so what's next for you, Rob?
I will be going along the, so I'm almost following your footsteps, which gives me a little tingle up the spine just thinking about it. I mean, having done some during 100 milers, I'm going to try and go to 1:45 and do the canal race. So we're going from London to Bristol. I know it's on your sheet, John.
You're doing the new route as well. You're going to London, Kennet. Oh, you'll love it. You'll be great at that. You'll be fantastic. You've got great canals. You've got great people on there. Keith, who runs them, and Dick that's there. They're absolutely awesome. I've just spent the last, so for me, when I was in the backyard, I had to be talked to by my wife and the race director, Lindley Chambers, because a week afterwards, 2 weeks after the race, I was meant to be taking part in Thameslink 250 because I've got a few demons there I've got to put back to bed. And instead of taking part, I agreed that I would go and help at checkpoints and put some time back into this sport.
Man. That's something we all could do more of. That's amazing.
I went and spent 3 days doing that, and I bloody loved it.
You stayed up all 3 days in a row, right? You didn't sleep.
I didn't sleep. I came home for an hour, put my head down, and I laid there and was like, I've got to go back again. It was phenomenal. I couldn't get enough of it. And the guys running the Thameslink 250 were awesome. And just to be there and to see from the front all the way to the back and be there and watch that was phenomenal. So you're going to have an awesome. I'm going to follow you. I'm going to be stalking you. So keep making sure you're going through his check. I'm going to be watching your dot on Kennet and Avon.
The dot's going out. We're going to be tracked, and don't let me fall in the canal.
I'm going to be there the whole
way. I won't be sleeping.
You.
Inspired by you, and actually, just got to say, my little taper on. I don't feel as bad about now. 2 weeks before that, I'm going to see our mutual friend Lindley Chambers for a little the Essex 100, my home county, and I'm going to try inspired by you, so I'm going to try and get under 24 hours for that 100 miler. That is the beginning of the next stage.
You do it. Just
I've got to now, haven't I? Because I've said it on the telly.
You've got to now. You said it live, and you just stay steady, believe in yourself, keep headstrong, keep your head up, and just now and again. And I think a lot of runners need to remember this. Just now and again, look up, look round, remember why we do it, be thankful for what we've got around us, and actually just enjoy. And go out there and just have a look around and enjoy, and just take a breath and just don't keep your head out. A lot of runners I see around the place, they keep their heads down, they don't look up. We need to look up now and again and just be thankful for what we got and enjoy that race, and you will smash it. You'll absolutely smash it. You'll do great.
John, your passion, your emotion and your absolute love for this sport and everything you do is just making me feel something different. So thanks so much for sharing it, honestly, and the kind words. God, namaste, and thank you for coming on. Everyone's going to get so much out of this, and I look forward to meeting you out on the trail. All right, see you in the backyard.
Take care.
Thanks, John.
Cheers, Rob.